Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Good evening, everyone. Andrew Barber here on the Hawks Eye View with Drew Shipley, and we're back for another week here. We had Iowa Hoops Dave on last week. Glad to have Drew back here with me for this week. We're going to talk football to start off tonight's show. Drew, just give me your thoughts about the Michigan State game.
I thought that there was no urgency, I guess, so to speak. I think that they might have taken them for granted. They were on paper an inferior team. Haven't had a great season up until that point. Scoring 35-20 was the final.
32-20, yeah.
32-20. Yeah. But I wouldn't say the score necessarily indicated the actual performance of the game, right? I mean, a lot of those points were scored there in the fourth quarter. Caleb Johnson got loose on a long run, as he does, you know. I mean, I think it goes past quarterback play at this point. Yeah. You know, the defense isn't the defense we've seen over the last 5 years. It's just they're not as a collective unit. I mean, they have 3 or 4 bona fide All-Americans as singular players, with Jay Higgins, Sebastian Castro, Nick Jackson, even Y.A. Black,
Jamari,
Aaron Graves might be an all Big Ten player this year.
Yeah.
But not collectively playing as a unit, which is I think is the biggest problem on the defensive side of the ball. Not a lot of great communication happening in real time during the play. I think they're lined up where they're supposed to be, but I don't think the execution is where it should be, especially this time of the year. This is where Kirk Ferentz's teams are the best. October into November. This is when Iowa football is at their best. And that was by far not it. I have no other scientific facts to back that up. I guess it's on the tape. The eye test. Let's just say that. I mean, my goodness. I think it goes past quarterback play though. We don't have a quarterback, whether you want to put in Brendan Sullivan either. Like this team just does not have a quarterback, because if we did, they would play him, you know?
Well, I am in favor of a quarterback change.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm not either. I mean, you just throw in a whole wrinkle when you can run.
I wasn't saying that you're not. And I think jury is out on Brendan Sullivan. You know, we haven't seen him play. I don't know what's caused them to stick with Cade McNamara this long. But I think you got to get the running threat of Brendan Sullivan in there. And we saw Brendan Sullivan make good plays for Northwestern last year. So I don't really buy, though, we don't have a quarterback. I think this is different. I think we have I think we have a guy that can develop and be what Tim Lester wants for his offense. Why he's not playing, I'm not sure. I don't think we've gotten a concrete answer on that, but I do think, based off Kirk's tone in his press conference on Tuesday, that we may see a quarterback change.
Like in the first quarter, or like
yeah.
Okay.
Like in the first quarter, first half, at the very least after halftime, if it's very clear that Cade doesn't have it. There's a lot of poor offense. He's missing passes like he was last week. I think it's going to be very much a quarterback change time at halftime. He didn't say that he said that Cade has to play better, and usually he follows that up, and he will be. He didn't follow that up this time. He was just all out critical of Cade in the media and saying he has to make passes. But like you said, I think it goes deeper than the quarterback position. The defense, right? The tackling was horrendous. One of the worst tackling performances that I can remember from an Iowa football defense I can't even think of a time.
Stanford.
Yeah, but I mean that was the guys like making Christian McCaffrey making our defense miss. This wasn't that. This was something different. This was
fundamental.
Guys were actually in position to make plays and couldn't wrap up and tackle.
Sure.
Guys were in the right positions and just weren't hitting. No physicality, no urgency, like you said. So I think you and I are in agreement. I think cornerback 2 is a bigger problem than quarterback 1. Whatever you think of the offense and the quarterback and the passing game at this point in the season, yeah, that's an issue. But I think second corner is a much larger issue.
And I mean, that's a bottom half of the conference offense too, man. Like, what are we doing?
Right. Well, and Michigan State found a way because they have a good coach. I've talked about my love for Jonathan Smith on this show a lot. Jonathan Smith has that NFL mindset where you find a weakness and you exploit it. Well, what was the weakness? It's our second corner. It's Castro's out, so somebody else who's inexperienced is playing in that spot.
I didn't see what happened to Castro. What happened to Castro? I'm sorry.
I think he had some kind of an ankle injury, I believe.
I don't
know when it happened.
Is he on the depth chart? Is he playing Saturday?
It's I think he's tracking to play. There was some word that he was going to play in the Michigan State game, actually, and then he didn't because he was questionable. So I think he's going to play this week against Northwestern, which is good news because our backup, Cohen Entringer, our backup to Castro, got hurt during the Michigan State game. We had to go to our third string option at the cash spot. I like Zach Lutmer long term. I think he's going to be good long term, but he wasn't ready for that to be thrown into a game on the road at Michigan State at night.
No.
And I can't blame him because he's the third string cash option, right? And so, but Michigan State rightly and smartly attacked that, knew how to attack that, and it's the NFL mindset of you have a mismatch, you go attack it. So Jonathan Smith, that's why I like him as coach.
Fair enough.
Playoffs are off the table, obviously.
Yeah.
There was a shot at 10-2. There was an outside shot, but there was still like a mathematical chance. Right. Mathematical chances are gone now. But there's still like internally, there's still plenty to like play for this season. But that's also why I'm in favor of a quarterback change because I think Sullivan's going to be the guy next year. So why not get him in there now? Finish out the last 5 games with Sullivan as the starter, see what you've got, and then that either springboards him for next year if he plays well, or it. Well, I know that I was going to go after a quarterback in the transfer portal again this year. What
You have
kind
to.
of?
You have to
Yeah, I
either
think
way.
they have to as well. But it becomes more of okay, we need a legit starter if you know what you've got in Sullivan, or we don't need a legit starter. We need a dependable backup if Sullivan's the guy.
I mean, this season has a very 2014 season to me. A very 2014 vibe where we get thumped against Tennessee in the Tax Slayer Bowl. Joshua Dobbs was like an All-American that game. And Jake Rudock transfers to Michigan, and like the first time ever, Kirk Ferentz comes out in the season-ending press conference naming his starting quarterback C.J. Beathard. Like this season has a disappointing vibe to it to me. Like, I understand what you're saying that, yeah, there's plenty to play for internally. Okay, go to Tampa. So actually, let me ask you this. Okay, realistically, what are we talking about for a ceiling, and what are we talking about a floor for this football team? Because, I mean, this weekend Northwestern is a must-win.
Yeah.
In like any sort of decent bowl game for what they're worth anymore, which is basically jack shit. And I guess you get those extra practices that Kirk Ferentz always talks about. Well, we're bowl eligible. We're going to get those extra 21 practices, and that's going to make all the difference in the world. And like, we don't typically see that result in the bowl game itself by and large the last decade. So I guess I don't necessarily see the value. They somehow managed to get out of here 9-3, 8-4, and go to Tampa. I'm more to the other end of that. I'm more to the disappointing Nebraska seasons of old of the last decade of like, it might be playing Nebraska for bowl eligibility type situation. Like, I think it's dire. I think this season is in danger of swirling down the toilet. Like, I really do. Like I said, this is when Kirk Ferentz's teams play the best. And if this is the best, like what? I mean, we're going to play tougher teams than freaking Michigan State.
I'm not so sure about that.
Wisconsin, Nebraska. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and put 2 L's on that.
Those two are at home, so I'm not gonna go there with that.
Maryland on the road.
Maryland got thumped by Northwestern at home.
Okay, well, we beat Northwestern by 1 at Wrigley last year, so like what?
3 by 3, right?
Okay, 3. Excuse me, 10-7, wasn't it? Yeah, I was there. I should remember. Okay, 3. They covered.
Yeah, I think it's
dire. I think it's dire. I do.
I'm not on the dire end of the spectrum. I think the floor is 6-6. I think the ceiling is 9-3. I think it's not the college football playoff season that we had all hoped for. It's not the 11-1 that you and I predicted. So it's disappointing in that regard. But bringing it all the way back, the Leicester offense isn't fully installed. So,
well, Jesus fucking Christ, how long is it going to be?
Well, when you have a coordinator change, like, you got to really give it 3 full years before you can really make a judgment. Like, that's my perspective on it. I think you give him another offseason and the bowl prep is part of that. It's part of the offseason to me. So you get the full Leicester offense installed in the offseason. You get him bringing in more of his guys. I think you're going to see greater success on the offensive side of the ball. To me, it's also big there's going to be a lot up in the air on defense too. Like, we're losing a ton of starters on defense. We're losing a ton of starters on offensive line as well. So there's going to be a lot of positions up for grabs for next year. So that's why I think making a bowl game is huge for this year's team, because they need to see what they've got and where they need to attack the transfer portal in the offseason from the bowl practices. The bowl practices are going to help the coaching staff say, here's where we need to go out. Here's where we're weak, maybe going into next year beyond like the obvious that we can all see on the outside. They can say, these are the positions we need to attack. We already know quarterback, be nice to get wide receiver, but we probably need linebacker. We probably need secondary. We probably need defensive line. We probably need
the turnover on the defense is just going to be devastating. And let me ask you this. So
okay.
Do you think it was fair that we've had these high expectations for the defense year in and year out, and then to see efforts like this season, like, or, you know, are we just spoiled the last decade? Like maybe they outkicked their coverage per se. Like they just played out of their minds. They played together. Like they were just a better gelled unit, you know, from all three levels of the defense. Like what do you peg it down to, I guess, is what I'm asking. Like
we trust Phil Parker a lot as fans because he's proven it so many times that he can concoct essentially an elite defense out of what you wouldn't consider elite individual players all the time.
Sure.
Really good players, but not the most elite players. So I think it's more of we relied on Phil Parker to just figure it out. I think you and I knew that there were holes. We talked about the second corner spot before the year. We talked about the defensive line getting more of a pass rush. We talked about some of those things.
Which I mean, why Black and Aaron Graves are playing good football.
Yeah, and Llewellyn and Allen have shown flashes at times too. So I think we just kind of, through those early season struggles, you and I just kind of expected, and a lot of fans, hey, Phil Parker's great at what he does. He's just going to figure it out. But those things just keep rearing their ugly head. So yes, we've been spoiled, but we also just trust Phil Parker to figure it out. And I'm not sure. There's only like so much you can do when you don't have the personnel, right? And I think we've got the personnel that we do. I don't think there's anything for Phil to figure out. There's not really anything that he can tweak. It's just
it's missing Cooper. So it's missing Cooper DeJean because I mean that's really who we lost in defense, right? That was it,
right? Yeah, having Cooper DeJean back on this year's squad would have been. I mean, they tried. They were very close. They were very close to getting it done. Cooper rightly and smartly, I think, went to the NFL.
Oh, for sure.
You got to get to that second contract as quick as you can.
Yep.
So, yeah, you know, I don't know. That's a tough question, but I think it's more of we trust in Phil Parker, that kind of thing. So
fair enough. I'll take that.
Northwestern, we got them coming up. They just lost to, I believe it was Wisconsin last week, 23-3. They're 3-4. Second year David Braun era not going as well as first year David Braun. We kind of knew that. We kind of knew Northwestern wasn't going to exactly have high expectations. They're maybe about where a lot of people expected them to be coming into this year. They have some key injuries. It sounds like AJ Henning is probably not going to play. And then also Xander Mueller, one of their top linebackers, is not going to play on Saturday, most likely. They're trending towards out. So an offense that's already averaging 19 points per game, which Iowa's at 28 still. So
the drive for 325 is still on.
We're well above that, man. Don't worry about the drive to 325. We're far beyond that. An offense that has struggled is probably missing its top weapon here. Without AJ Henning, he's kind of the guy who makes it go. Bryce Kurtz is their leading wide receiver, but AJ Henning is like who the offense is kind of centered around.
Sure.
For the most part. Their running game isn't very strong. I guess if there's a get right spot for the defense, like we saw what they did to Washington, that's it. That's the other thing about the Michigan State week was we saw what they did to Washington, who we thought was a good team coming off this win against Michigan, had a pretty solid, pretty decent offense, we thought at least. And Iowa gave up a lot of yards in that game. I guess that's the thing that we didn't really take into account. Like we got a lead because our offense was rolling and humming, and we played from ahead and gave up a lot of yards, but not a lot of points.
Turnovers,
forced turnovers, things that we didn't do in the Michigan State game. But we didn't force a punt last week, Drew. Michigan State never sent their punting team onto the field. Our offense actually in the second half played better, like we've seen before, at times before. Our offense played significantly better, but I was sitting there thinking it doesn't matter because the defense is going to give up so many points, and I can't remember the last time I felt that way. But this has got to be an easy get right spot. I mean, I don't want to call it easy, but on paper, this is probably the worst offense we've played outside of Illinois State and Troy.
Yeah,
so
probably.
So.
I think I had heard on KXNO with David Eichholt on Monday that the Iowa defense in the last 3 games combined have forced only 3 punts.
That's unacceptable. We're so used to seeing the other team's punting unit on the field and our punting unit on the field and it being a battle of punters. And
I think Ohio State was 1 and Washington was 2.
Okay, I expect that with the Ohio State game. I can understand that because that's a high-powered offense that can score points any which way.
Right.
The Washington thing, we kind of talked about it.
It was a turnover bug for them. That was
yeah.
I mean, because they had the total yards. I mean, they still scored 16 points despite -3 in the turnover margin. So
turnover bug, and they refused to punt in situations where you probably should punt. They went for it on 4th down quite a few times and didn't get it. So maybe that is maybe skewing the number in the Washington game a little bit there. If you look at
that could be fair. That could be fair.
Yeah.
But still, man, 3 games, 3 punts.
Yeah. Washington should have used their punter more. They didn't.
Okay, fair enough.
Michigan State had no need to use their punter, which was a scary thing.
That's wild.
Yeah, but this week we should see plenty of Northwestern's punter, and I hope that the tackling can get back on track. I think that's as simple as it is. I mean, yeah, Northwestern's going to try to attack us through the air at that second corner spot because that's what every team's done to us and it's been successful. If they do that, maybe they're going to have some success, but really hoping that, I don't know, we've seen TJ Hall play okay at times. We've seen Deshaun Lee play okay at times.
Like I remember in the preseason preview, you had high hopes for Deshaun Lee, man. Like you felt like he would be okay with a bridge from Cooper DeJean, right? Like
I thought. Well, no, I was okay with Jamari Harris. I think
Jamari Harris. Excuse me.
I was said Jamari Harris being our quarterback 1 wasn't going to be a cause for concern, and he hasn't been.
He hasn't been. He's had 1 or 2 deals there in the non-con.
Yeah, he had like 3 or 4 interceptions this season, but teams just won't throw his way because the other cornerback spot's so bad.
Yeah,
you don't need to. Yeah, you don't need to. But yeah, that's kind of what I see going into this game is bounce back spot for the defense because this offense is not good. This is an offense that shouldn't be moving the ball on really anybody in the Big Ten.
Man, the running game's been so predictable too. For the fact that KJ2 still breaks 50-yard plus runs is a minor miracle, if we're being honest. Because what 3rd and 2, 4th and 1s, where's the ball going? In between the tackles with Caleb Johnson. No shit, so predictable.
Right.
Not even a play action freaking waggle or anything like. No risk taking whatsoever on the offensive side. We know. Everybody watching the TV knows that the ball is going to Caleb Johnson. And
that's like, it's kind of this weird balance too, because you don't want to take the ball out of Caleb's hands too much when
he's the best player on the fucking field. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got, when the offense is out there. Yeah. But yeah, this is one of the worst passing defenses in the Big Ten too. But Iowa doesn't have the passing game to exploit it. With Cade McNamara back there, I feel like Brendan Sullivan could not necessarily exploit it and throw for a ton of yards, but he could complete the basic passes that we need to keep the offense on schedule.
So, see, you call him a quarterback, and I will call him a playmaker. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, we've yet to see Brendan Sullivan unleash significant passing plays in this offense, right? Like,
yeah, but let's see it.
Let's see it on 1st and fucking 10 in the first quarter.
Yeah, no better time than against his former team. No better time for Jacob.
So you might be onto something there with the first quarter deal.
Yeah,
predicting him.
No better time than this for Jacob Gill as well.
Did he play, or did both of those guys play against us at Wrigley? Were they both playing and starting? I don't remember.
Sullivan did. Yeah, Sullivan did play against us. I can't remember if Gill played in that game. Let's go ahead and look at
that game was a shit show.
Yeah, well, we'll take a look anyways.
Yep. Well, yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what their production was.
Yeah, Brendan Sullivan, 12 of 19 for 81 yards and a touchdown. Jacob Gill did not enter the game at all.
Okay.
Bryce Kurtz and AJ Henning were around, and Cam Porter was around too. They brought in Jack Lausch a little bit to run the ball as a backup quarterback.
What'd you say? 12 of 19, 81 yards?
12 of 19, 81 yards, and a touchdown, no interceptions. Deacon Hill, 10 for 15, 65 yards, and a touchdown.
Congratulations, Deacon. That was your best game of the season.
Addison Ostrenga, touchdown.
Yeah.
We also saw Cooper DeJean on offense in that game.
We did. I remember that. Yeah. Sitting in the rooftops at Wrigley, man. It was awesome.
There you go. You go. So Jacob Gill didn't get in because I think he was dealing with some injuries last year. Sullivan did play against Iowa. Okay. But that Iowa defense last year was really good, like we talked about,
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna.
There were a lot of weather factors in that game as well. It was very windy, pretty cold. It was definitely not friendly confines for football.
Not for throwing the ball either.
No,
it wasn't a day for throwing the ball at all.
It was not.
Yeah, I remember that, the wind really being a factor. So I don't know what the weather forecast is like for Saturday. Drew, I've got Iowa in a bounce back spot here. I think they're favored by 13.5, 2 touchdowns. I'm not going to go that high on it, I don't think. I think I'm going to say something like 23-10 feels right. I don't know, 23-13.
I was going to say 24-10, but you know what? Let's put a safety on there. Let's go 26-10.
Let's go.
They're going to cover in the first under of the season. Actually, I don't know what the under over is.
Okay. We have been covering in the over, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I said the first under in the season.
Really?
I'm predicting a first under.
8 games in, and we're going to have our first Iowa football under.
Our
football unders are a thing of the past, folks. It's a new world. Yeah, I feel good about a win. I don't know about how much though.
Okay.
I think a win is happening, but
I'll
probably
take
going to
it.
be less than what we expect come Saturday. I would prefer to see domination. I think that would reinstill some confidence for the rest of the year for the fan base.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously for the players too, but
Yeah.
I think the players are going to try to be confident no matter what.
Yep.
So, anyways,
Hey, can we hit a break before we hit basketball, my friend? Can we hear a word from our sponsors and do basketball?
we sure can hit a break. Let's do it.
Appreciate it.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
Thank you to all of our sponsors there. I'm glad we hit a break. Drew.
We have a great set of sponsors. Okay, so let's do this. So you're going to buy a house from Dan, right, at Green Beret.
Yeah.
You're going to go and finance it with Kyle Lehman. And then at closing, Dan's going to buy you a bottle of single barrel bourbon whiskey from Revelton. Done deal.
There you go.
Sorry, Dan.
Hopefully Dan's not going to have to stand in a line at Hy-Vee on a Saturday during their amazing sale. I'm kidding. I got to razz you, Drew. For those of you listening who don't know, I went to the Urbandale Hy-Vee to pick up our friend Drew Shipley here a bottle of Angel's Envy. And I had never been to that Urbandale Hy-Vee Wine and Spirits during their sale before. So imagine my surprise when the store is packed wall to wall going, what is this madness? I've only ever been in there when it's empty, basically.
So I didn't get a confirmation. You did get the bottle, though, right?
For sure. I got it. You need me to get up and go get it? I can get up.
No. We'll wait till wedding.
Wife or what? What's going on here? No, I got it. I should have sent you a picture. It's all good.
No, it's all good, man. No, that's some great whiskey as well.
Anyways, note to self. I mean, if you're into this kind of thing, that's your time to load up for the year because that's what everybody else was doing.
For sure.
At least I hope they were loading up for the year and not just the weekend because the amount that some people are buying, if that's going down in one weekend, woof. But, anyways, I digress. Back basketball. Let's get into it.
Let's do
You weren't around last week when we did the men's basketball preview, so I want to give you a shot to get your predictions in for the season for the men's team real quick before we move on and talk about the women's team.
Okay.
in depth. I marked you down for wins for all of the bye games for the men. Southern, South Dakota, Rider, those kinds of games.
That's fine.
I got you down for wins. You're not going to pick a loss in any one of those, are you?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay. We'll start with a neutral court matchup against Washington State.
Neutral court. Where are they playing? Are they playing like Pentagon? Where are they?
They are playing this one in Kansas City.
Kansas City. Okay. Give me the Hawks. I know nothing about Washington State. I know they really haven't been relevant in the Pac-12 era. So
they lost to Iowa State in the second round of the NCAA tournament last year.
So I guess they're more relevant than I thought because we didn't make it there. So
it's kind of like we talked about the Washington football team where their coach moved on and a lot of their players moved on as a result. So they are breaking in a new coach and a new roster.
Okay.
So
Kansas City, give me the Midwest advantage.
Yep. We are playing Utah State. Let me look up exactly where.
Hold on a second before we move on from the Kansas City game. When is that?
Kansas City game. Ooh, yeah. I don't know when it is. It's November 15th.
Oh, I won't be there then. That's okay.
Yeah.
There's some personal breaking news we'll talk about at the end of the pod.
Oh, sorry. Nope. I'm all backwards. The Washington State game is the one that's in Moline, Illinois, home of Owen Freeman and Brock Harding.
Oh, they're playing at the Mark of the Quad Cities. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what they call it anymore. It used to be called iWireless Center. Now what is it?
Vibrant Arena at the Mark.
Okay. Yep. Been there for several shows. It's actually a pretty cool venue.
Yeah. Then they play Utah State at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City on November 22.
Okay. I still won't be there yet.
So Utah State's a team that made the tournament. They won the Mountain West last year, but a couple of their guys who were key cogs of that team transferred out. So Iowa, Utah State at a neutral court in Kansas City. How you feeling?
I mean, I'm going to take a tournament team over a non-tournament team here, regardless of roster. I'll go ahead and take Utah State here, actually.
All right. Okay. And then we do the Big Ten thing where there's two Big Ten games in December. Open the Big Ten season with a home game against Northwestern. No boo-booey.
God bless. That's a W.
Okay. We go on the road to Michigan. New coach, Dusty May from Florida Atlantic. Brought in the big guy Golden from Florida Atlantic as well. Some recruits on the road at Michigan for our second Big Ten game in December.
We don't play well at Chrysler. I'm going to take an L there.
Okay. All right. Then we have Iowa State at home. Home teams won the last 10 games in this matchup, I believe.
And not in this game. Not in this game. They're not. Give me Iowa State.
All right. We will see. I
know. I feel like a real Debbie Downer here in the toss-up games.
I took a loss as well, so I guess I can't really.
I mean, it's a top 5 team. I mean, top 10 team. Excuse me.
I can't really talk as well, but we play our last non-conference game of quality opponents. I'll say is Utah in the Sanford Pentagon in Sioux Falls.
There's the Sanford Pentagon. Okay.
Yep.
Utah tournament team last year as well?
No, we lost to them in the NIT, which ended our season.
Oh, that's right.
Revenge spot, Drew.
We played Gonzaga up there pretty well with an undermanned team.
Yeah. We beat Utah State up there. Keegan Murray's breakout year.
Okay. Give me a W there. I'll take a W in Sioux Falls. Yeah.
Got it. All right, now we're straight Big Ten for the rest of the way.
Perfect.
At Wisconsin.
Loss.
Yep. Nebraska and Indiana at home.
Oh man, Nebraska's coming up too. Fred's got it going. Shoot, both at home though. I think they split that. I think they'll beat Nebraska at Carver. I think they lose to Wisconsin. So we get
Indiana.
Indiana, excuse me. Yep, lose to
Yeah,
Indiana.
I'll go with that. Okay.
So you've already done this. You've already ran this exercise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Iowa Hoops Dave and I went down the list last week.
Okay.
I had a split here the exact same way as you did.
Okay.
Then 2 road games at USC, at UCLA. USC has Eric Musselman now.
He went from Arkansas to USC?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
The Muss Bus has arrived in USC.
I like him a lot too, which is unfortunate. I think that's a West Coast sweep, man. I think we get beat by both.
Oh, okay. Yep, I'm on the all 3 of us, Iowa Hoops Dave included, on the sweep there.
Yeah.
Minnesota and Penn State, those are the 2 teams that are projected to be the bottom of the Big Ten by most pundits. Not trying to shade your pick one way or another, just thought I'd inform you.
We've been kicking Minnesota's ass pretty regularly these days, so I would take a win with Minnesota. And Penn State's always been kind of a bugaboo. And is that on the road or at home? I'm sorry.
Both of these are at home.
At
Minnesota and Penn State at home.
And the point guard from Penn State's gone finally as well.
Yeah.
I'll take 2 W's there.
Okay. All right. At Ohio State, tough environment. New coach for them, Jake Diebler, who is the interim guy.
I'm going to say this is Iowa's best Big Ten win.
Okay, I like it. You're bucking Iowa Hoops Dave and I because we both went with a loss.
Okay.
Purdue and Wisconsin at home. Next 2.
We can't get over the Purdue hump since winning the Big Ten championship, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2021.
I think those are 2 L's.
Oh, yikes.
I just think Wisconsin's a better basketball team. I just do.
Mm.
Iowa has to prove it to me. This young roster, a lot of unknowns. I mean, I know we got a lot of transfers, a lot of good young guys. Just Wisconsin puts it together, man.
Got it. On the road at Rutgers in Maryland.
East Coast swing, 2 dubs.
Okay, I like it. Rutgers is excited because they have Dylan Harper, Ron Harper Jr.'s younger brother, and Ace Bailey, who are projected top 10 picks in the NBA draft.
As long as it's not another 47-45 game, I don't give a shit.
Gotcha.
So do I assume that you and Iowa Hoops Dave took an L there then?
I took an L at Rutgers.
Okay.
I took an L at Rutgers, but I had wins against Purdue and Wisconsin at home.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, so did Iowa Hoops Dave. We thought the same. We had Purdue home wins.
Oh my God, that would be a huge home swing. Shoot.
Wisconsin's not good, so I could see a split there. I could see Purdue beating us. I think we get over the Purdue hump at home.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, Wisconsin, I took a loss on the road, but a win at home. So splitting the season with them.
Okay.
Next 2 games are Oregon and Washington at home.
I think those are 2 wins.
Okay.
This isn't where Oregon gets a free pass to the second round in the COVID tournament. So
Yep. So Iowa Hoops, Dave and I had 2 wins here, so we're wins on the board on that. At Illinois, at Northwestern.
Loss at Illinois, win at Northwestern.
Yep, that's where I was. That's where we were as well. So, Michigan State at home, Nebraska on the road to end the Big Ten season.
Finally beat Michigan State and lost at Nebraska. We split with Nebraska. I think Nebraska is going to be a good team this year.
I'm very curious about their point guard situation. Their point guard might be Aaron Eulis, ? For the whole season. So I like some of the pieces on the Nebraska team, but I'm not sure about their point guard play. So let's see, 31 wins or 31 games. Sorry.
I was going to say, there ain't no way I picked 31 wins, bro.
No, that would be undefeated. We're not doing that.
Yeah, I am curious what the net cumulative here is.
Well, I'll tell you.
It's a losing season. It's a losing season.
No, it's not. I don't think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have Iowa at 20-11 on the year. 20 wins, 11 losses.
That sounds like a Fran McCaffrey tournament bubble team.
That's probably
What's the record? What's the record in the Big Ten though? Because that's more important, I think.
Yeah,
beat up on all the shitty teams for sure, but
we
what are we looking at? Like 7 and
11-9 in the conference is what you got.
11-9, a winning record in the conference. That's a tournament bid.
Yeah, winning record in the conference. That's probably right in probably finishing 7th or 8th with that, I would imagine.
Get the first bye.
Yeah, get one bye. Yep.
Because not every team makes the tournament now, right?
Right, and we would easily make the Big Ten tournament here, and then probably be either in that 7-10 or 8-9 matchup.
How many teams are they taking? Are they taking 16 of 18?
Think so. I think the bottom 4 teams are getting left out, which we've talked about this before on the show. Fran McCaffrey has only finished in the bottom half of the conference twice in 15 years. So you projecting him 7th or 8th means that streak, well, it's not really a streak, but that goes to 14 of 16.
So what was your total record, you and Iowa, Dave?
Iowa Hoops Dave, I don't think he meant to do this, but as he was going through it, he ended up with 23-8. I ended up
3-8's like a top 4 seed in the dance.
Yeah, 23-8 is where we ended for Iowa Hoops Dave. I ended up with 22-9.
It's the homestand. It's the homestand against Wisconsin and Purdue for him is the difference.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
Also, Wisconsin and Purdue homestand, but I also think we went. He went loss at home to Northwestern, which is the only different.
That's so weird.
Different thing, but I went win to start the Big Ten season. So the trend has been start 0-2 for the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, it really has. You're right.
And so I decided to buck the trend by going 2-0. To buck a trend in the Cyhawk game by picking Iowa to lose at home. To stick with a trend with the Wisconsin loss. So I don't
think this is mathing, Andrew. I don't know.
I bucked some trends.
Some trends. That's it.
But if the trends hold up, then we'll beat Iowa State, but lose to Northwestern and Michigan, but beat Iowa State. So
yeah,
that would be wild. anyways, tournament team just barely for you. Tournament team solidly for the two of us. We can move on to the women's team. Going to be a different team, obviously. I think, post Caitlin Clark, the era there. What's your biggest question mark, I guess, heading into the season for the women's team?
It's not what you think it's going to be.
Okay.
Who is this year's glue?
Oh.
Who is this year's Kate Martin?
Mm.
Who's going to be the leader on the court, the smartest person on the court? Who's going to make the right plays? Who's going to be clutch? Who's going to shine when it matters the most? Who's going to calm down the team after a timeout, after a 10-0 run, and get the team back on track? Because Caitlin was she's a spitfire. She's a very emotional player, and Kate Martin, brought the calmness down, or brought it to the court when you needed it most, or when she needed it most. Who's the glue on this team? So let me bounce that back to you. Who do you think can Kate Martin be replaced? Because I would argue she was definitely the second best player on the team, second most important, maybe not second best, second most important player of last year.
Yeah, that's a different. Yeah, those are two different things.
It's two different things for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the glue?
I don't know if it's necessarily that you replace Kate Martin with a 1-for-1 match, but who am I going to look to calm the team down when they need it? I think that there's a very obvious answer. It's a Fulter. It's Sydney Fulter.
I think so too.
I think that's got to be it. I think she just has the best all around game of anybody on this team. Stolke is a bucket getter. Lucy Olsen is a bucket getter. And I do think that Lucy Olsen will play a leadership role too. I just don't know enough about her to confidently say she's going to be the one to calm it down. I don't think she's going to be the same maybe fiery personality that we expect from our leading scorer in the guard court there. This team might be a little bit more calm than I think because Stolke's a calm personality as well.
That's true. Yeah.
Fulter is. I just don't know about Lucy Olsen, so I think a Fulter is going to be seen as the leader of this team a lot.
Yeah,
because she last year, especially, she did a lot of the diving for loose balls, getting down in the mud and doing all the dirty work that Iowa needed her to win games. But then we saw her the Big Ten tournament, especially last year. She was awesome.
Yeah.
We saw the offensive game, the 3-point shot, all of it come together all at once for her. And it was a big part of Iowa actually overcoming and winning the Big Ten tournament championship yet again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's her. But she's battling back from an injury now. I just don't know when she's going to be ready to go. November, they said, but I think they'll ease her in a little bit.
Sure.
I don't think she'll be full go right away. So
I just hope she's full go for Iowa State because I want to see that matchup.
That's what we need.
I feel like this team feels slighted in the AP preseason rankings, not being the first team out.
They should.
I think they're gonna take that personal. I think Jan Jensen's personality is going to cultivate a culture that resonates as such on the court, but be a quiet professional in public. You know what I mean? We know what you think of us, and we're just going to prove it on the court.
Right.
We're just going to show up. We have a great team. We have a top 25 team. They'll in my heart of hearts, I think they still host a first and second round matchup in Carver Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think we
have
end
a
up
top 16 team at push come to shove.
I think so. I think so too. I think this is absolutely top 16 teams, especially since what I've been hearing about Ava Hayden, the 6'4" freshman center, who's going to start. So we thought, maybe it would be O'Grady and then Hayden would come in, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be Ava Hayden from day one.
I kind of feel bad for Addie O'Grady, if I'm being honest.
I do too.
I don't know much about Ava. Obviously, she's a freshman, so let's see it in Division I basketball, right? Let's see what happens. I just think O'Grady's too slow, especially for Big Ten ball. To get up and down the court, establish positioning, be any threat of a score. If I'm being honest, she gets some boards and she's in good positions at times. But do I see her playing 25, 30 minutes? Not necessarily. No, I don't. I think you might be right. I think you might be onto something there. I think though, however, I think this is going to be a more physical Iowa Hawkeye basketball team in 2024, 2025, as opposed to the finesse sharpshooting teams that we've seen in years past. Caitlin Clark, Gabby Marshall, folks like that can light it up from three. So I think this team's going to be more physical, and I think they're going to have to be to compete with Indiana, Ohio State, like we always have to. Go ahead, Juju Watkins at USC. I mean, shit. I can't wait to see how the Pac-12 teams contribute to the Big Ten and how they compete against the Big Ten night in and night out in January, February, and in Iowa City and Madison and Columbus. What is that going to look like? I look forward to it. But I'll tell you this: Juju Watkins is the truth, though. So
she's pretty good. You touched on a lot of things there.
I know. I just spit it all out. You asked for it. I gave it. Sorry.
Awesome. No, I love it. I love it. And Ava Hayden has a bit of a mid-range jump shot, which I think gives her a little bit of an edge and something that you need, especially if you're going to play two posts like that with Stolke and Hayden. Stolke has tried to develop the jump shot, so that's maybe part of my question for her and the next step in her development. Also, you and I talked about this, and it came out that Stolke played all of last season with an injured knee, played through it. So
and still the fastest girl on the court.
Yeah, and what I'd really like to see is that knee to be healthy, and 100% healthy Hannah Stolke, I think, is a huge boost for this program because I think the offense is going to be designed to work off of her. I don't think it's going to be
so like a Megan Gustafson designed offense.
Yeah, maybe, but different in some aspects because they're not the exact same player.
No.
So, and I think Stolke's going to show off a little bit of a mid-range, probably maybe even a three-pointer. I know she's been working on it. So
you know Hannah Stolke's my girl, man. So
yeah,
I'd love to see it.
If she becomes a three-point shooter.
Oh shit! Yeah, look out.
Look out.
I can't remember what the award season looked like in the Big Ten last year. Was Hannah Stolke like honorable mention all Big Ten, like at minimum?
I think she was second team.
She might have been second team.
Yeah.
I'm going out on a limb here, and I think she's a dark horse All-American.
Yeah, I think so too. But I think Lucy Olson in this role is going to be really good.
I can't wait to see this team play. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
It's going to be different, but I think there'll be a lot of ups and downs this year because you just don't have the steady senior-laden team that you had last year in the bright shining star. We have stars still, I think. Plenty of stars on this team still. And I think it's going to be a good team ultimately by the end of the year. I just think that there's going to be bumps in the road, and there should be because
I mean there were bumps in the road in the Caitlin Clark era, man. Like we dropped some inexplicable games.
Yeah, we did. But we're going to be playing freshmen a heavy amount. this year. We talked about Ava Hayden, who's probably going to be the most impactful freshman right away, but Tegan Maligny, Taylor Stremlow, Callie Levin, those three are also going to play off the bench. They're going to be part of the rotation. So we're going to have 4 true freshmen who in one shape or form or the other are going to be part of the rotation for Iowa basketball this year. They're talented. They're all top 100 recruits. So the talent is there for all of them. But again, it takes time for that talent to develop. And when you go through like a Big Ten season, especially now, it's going to be kind of bumpy.
So you kind of alluded to my wild card or my X factor in this upcoming women's season. Is what are the differences or philosophies going to be with a Jan Jensen head coach team? What are we gonna see? Are we gonna see differences in philosophy per se? I mean, obviously you're flipping half the roster at least, right? In starters alone. So, I mean, you're going to have to play to your strengths, right? So, like, take the last 3 seasons out of it, like just the Lisa Bluder era over the last, what she put in 23, 24 seasons in Iowa City.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the biggest X factor of the whole season is how she coaches, just point blank.
Yeah.
How's that going to work out?
Well, I can tell you one thing that I've heard. I'm glad you brought this up because I don't know if I would have brought it up otherwise. I think we're going to full court press more on defense. That's what I've heard is that Jan wants to play a full court press. Okay. I like it. I think it's good and can work. And as maybe it's not the whole identity. You don't play it for 40 minutes of every game.
I mean, that's impossible. Yeah. I mean, this isn't Tom Davis.
Unless you're Bob Huggins in the Press Virginia when he did do that for 40 minutes a game.
I mean, and the prime in that program.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that was awesome.
It was awesome. And VCU, Shaka Smart, when he came on the scene, did the same thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is that. So I'm not saying, don't hear me saying 40 minutes of full court press all out from the Iowa women this year.
Just some wrinkles.
Just some wrinkles.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jan Jensen will definitely put her own stamp. I think there's a lot of things that would probably function the same. But there's definitely some basketball philosophies that Jan Jensen has that will be different than Lisa Bluder. But I think like we've already seen in the media, a lot of that stuff, how practices run and operate. I don't think that Jan Jensen's probably going to reinvent the wheel. The other thing is recruiting. I think she's way more aggressive in recruiting than she's really trying to take advantage of the Caitlin Clark era, right? And she should.
Well, I mean, Jan Jensen was the primary recruiter for Lisa anyway, right? So it wasn't anything different for her other than the fact that she's the head hawk, right?
Yeah, but I think there's just a willingness to take swings at national players because it was more of a Midwest regional recruitment kind of thing.
Sure.
Under Lisa Bluder, but with everybody that she's bringing in now and the commitment that we just got.
Was that the video I saw last weekend?
Yeah.
Jan Jensen was doing some presser and she walked in on her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool moment. So, but that, oh my gosh, I'm pulling it up here. I'm trying to.
And I think she was a top 50 recruit in the class of 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember her name either. I remember seeing it. It was really cool moment.
Yeah. And just some of the other recruits that we're in 2025 and beyond. Layla Hayes.
There it is. Yep.
I should have known this. Yeah, Layla Hayes, 6'5", post from Alaska.
That's wild. Literally.
That is, yeah, we they're going to Alaska now, and we already have Addie Deal, who's the number 9 overall combo guard. So we have a top 10 recruit
Guard.
and then top 50
top 50 post.
Top 50 post. So next year we'll have Ava Heiden.
Yeah.
And Layla Hayes. So 6'5" and 6'4" coming at you.
And Hannah Stolke's a junior, right? So she'd be her senior year. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So 6'5", 6'4", 6'2". I think that'll do it. That'll be good.
Man.
We're the front court. Yeah. And then we're also looking at an international prospect who visited, who I think really.
Oh, that's
really
interesting. They haven't tapped into that resource before. That's interesting.
From Spain, I believe.
Okay.
And she's 6'3".
So is that like a Megan Gustafson disciple? She plays for the Spanish national team. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know if that there's any connection there with Gustafson.
Yeah.
We can't forget about Journey Houston from Davenport North. She's number 79 overall.
That's a badass name, by the way.
Yeah. She's a small forward, 5'11". So a good, solid wing player there. And that's what we have that with I got to go back to 2024. I want to tell our viewers where our freshmen ranked this year, because they're all.
Do they do, for women's basketball, do they do cumulative recruiting rankings by school? You know, like, oh, well, Georgia's the number 1 recruiting class in football for 25. Like, do they do that for women?
We're not all the way there necessarily.
Because, I mean, that's got to be a top 10 class.
Yeah. I mean, it is. So, I'm looking at ESPN. I don't think they do team rankings really here.
Well, that's kind of silly. Let's get on that.
Okay. Well, 247 is starting to build that out. So Avon Heiden was 42 overall. Aaliyah Guyton, who we haven't even talked about because she's coming off an injury. So that's my question is, Molly Davis was the backup point guard. The plan was for Aaliyah Guyton, who's AJ Guyton's daughter, if you remember AJ Guyton, who played for Indiana.
Yep. For
a lot of years. The plan was for her to come in and be the backup point, but she unfortunately tore her ACL. She had a Josh Dix. It's going to be a Josh Dix kind of scenario maybe for her. Josh Dix tore his ACL his senior year of high school, had to adjust as a freshman, finally got comfortable as a sophomore last year. I don't know if we're going to get a lot out of Aaliyah Guyton this year because of that torn ACL.
Sure.
I hope so. I hope she's okay. I hope she can get back to full health, because she would be a huge help. Tegan Maligne is a 6-foot guard. Might be butchering her name, but she's 65 overall, according to ESPN. And then I believe Taylor Stremlow, 5'8" guard, number 94 overall. Callie Levin just outside the top 100. So, but 4 top 100 recruits that will play this year.
Yeah.
Maybe. Already 2 in the fold for next year, with more on the way. In 2026, there's 2 top 6 girls that are heavily considering us. One being the number 1 overall player.
I think you were onto something when we started the women's basketball segment of Jan Jensen using the Caitlin Clark effect in recruiting, right?
Yeah.
Like who wants to be the next Caitlin Clark? Who wants to be great, right?
Mm-hmm.
These 4 years of Caitlin Clark have set a precedent that University of Iowa women's basketball is going to be exceptional for 2 decades. I believe that. Exceptional. Top 4 seed year in, year out. Sweet 16s. Elite Eights, and occasional Final Four if things fall right. I think it's going to be an annual thing.
Yeah,
death taxes in Michigan State in March, right? For the men's side. Like, I think this program is on the cusp of that kind of level of greatness. I just do.
Well, if the recruiting chips fall the way we want them to in 2026, it's going to be better than Sweet 16s and Elite Eights.
I'm just setting the bar low.
Yeah, you might be. I like your realism, but I think let me just tell you, Kate Harpering, Matt Harpering's daughter, is the number 2 overall recruit according to ESPN, number 1 in 247. She's seriously considering Iowa. The number 6 overall recruit by both ESPN and 247 was just on campus when Layla Hayes committed.
Oh, shit.
McKenna Lewetzko, 6'2" wing. Jenica Lewis is number 15 overall on ESPN, right around there on 247. She's from Johnston, Iowa. Iowa's got a good end there.
Yeah.
Madden Greenway is in this class. There's still time, but I think Iowa's on the outside looking in. But if we get number 2 or number 1, depends on where you look, number 6, number 15 in 2026, if Madden Greenway doesn't come, I know some people might make a big deal out of that, but it's like we're going to get 3 players who are ranked higher than her.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Patently insane that we could just be like, well, we're fine, because actually she would have been the lowest rated recruit.
That would be, it's a culture thing, and it's a generational thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Teams come and go. I mean, look at Pat Summitt's Tennessee squad in the 90s and the early 2000s. What's Tennessee now? Like mid SEC program?
Right. Yep. Mid SEC program.
Even UConn to an extent.
They had to really fight to get back. Yeah. They're kind of back now, but they had to fight for a while.
So, like the franchise, let's just call it that, franchise women's basketball teams of us growing up, those teams have come and gone, and now someone's got to replace them, right? Is it going to be the Hawks? I think they're just as capable as any now. USC, Juju Watkins, and have their era, likely. I mean, teams are going to step in, and they're going to have their generation.
Right. And the recruiting, like the talent doesn't just all go to UConn and Tennessee like it used to. Like it used to just be a thing where it just was like all the top 20 players, 25 players just instantly off the board for everybody else.
And Don Staley in South Carolina is going to go through this someday. They're going to go through it too.
Right. So I guess with the talent spreading out all over the place now, it gives more room for there to be more blue blood programs and parity in women's basketball, like we have on the men's side.
Oh man, it used to be so predictable in women's basketball. I mean, it used
so
to be
predictable.
Connecticut, Tennessee final, just pencil, like not pencil it in, fucking pin it in, like,
right? And UConn's going to come out on top more often than not.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, I digress. We're going way, way overboard tonight.
Man, Thursday night football's on now. How about that?
Thanks for sticking with us. We're going way overboard.
Do we want to promote our event? Because I feel like we should.
Well, I wanted to do some game-by-game predictions before we go.
Oh, shit. Okay. We can do that.
We will do it real quick.
Okay.
Look, I'm just going to skip over all the bye games like we did with the men and say wins.
Just start with Iowa State.
Nope. I'm going to start based off the schedule. Start with the non-conference game with Virginia Tech.
Early season loss.
Okay. I'm going to take a win. Virginia Tech's coach went to Kentucky and took Georgia Moore with him. I think that's going to be kind of crippling to that Virginia Tech program. He took Kitley too, the big from last year. So
Okay.
Drake, we go to Drake this year.
Oh wow. Okay.
Drake's a decent team.
Yeah. It's gonna be a win.
I'm still going to take a win. Yeah. I'm taking a win against Virginia Tech. Some interesting home games here for us. We play Kansas and Washington State at home.
Power 5 teams and 2 wins.
Yeah. I don't think that these two are top of their conference by any means.
No. Washington definitely, or
Washington State.
Washington State, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. The Kansas game is in the Sioux Falls, Sanford, Pentagon. Does that change your mind?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
They're the women playing in the Pentagon too, huh?
The women are playing in the Pentagon.
Are they on the same day? Is it a doubleheader for the men and women?
Ooh, is it?
That would make sense.
No.
Oh, okay.
It's on 2 different days.
Okay. Doubleheader, but it would have been worth it.
Would have made a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I digress. Washington State is in Iowa City. Take a win there.
Yep.
Okay. So mine. We play BYU and Rhode Island in that Cancun Classic.
That's a 2-0 Cancun trip.
Yeah, I think so too. And then we play Tennessee in the Champions Classic at the Barclays Center.
I've kind of alluded to the fact that Tennessee's not Pat Summitt's Tennessee, so I'm going to go with a win there.
Yeah, they're not, but they did just have Rakia Jackson, who was pretty good. She's with the Sparks now. I just don't know. I'm going to go with a win there too. But then let's go to the big one in the non-conference at least, because there's 2 other games bigger on the schedule than this one, believe it or not. Iowa State, the top 10 Iowa State women's basketball team. Audie Crooks coming to Carver.
I think Hannah Stolke is going to whoop that girl's whatever. I think the Hawks win.
I think so too. I feel really good. I think
1 through 5, the talent is just better. Like, we know Emily Ryan, we know Audie Crooks, but then after that, what are we talking about here?
Right.
Yeah. So
maybe we haven't done our research on the Iowa State women.
We haven't, but we're going to take them at Carver.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, Audie Crooks is the focal point of that team. Addie Brown, Ariana Jackson, Emily Ryan. I think those are kind of your focal points of that team. Then we have a Big Ten game wedged in here. Michigan State on the road. That's the first Big Ten game on December 15th.
I mean, unless it's Indiana, Ohio State, or USC, you can mark me down for a W.
Okay.
So that's a win.
Okay. We host Northern Iowa and Purdue, so you're taking wins.
Yep.
So am I. Penn State on the road, Maryland at home.
Maryland gives us trouble sometimes, but playing at Carver, I'm going to say 2 dubs as well.
Okay.
I've seen it happen in a Caitlin Clark junior year. It was awful.
Yeah. I'm taking dubs too. So I think you have 1 loss on the board and I have undefeated Iowa up until this point.
If that's the case, they're top 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I could see. At Illinois.
Win.
Okay. Indiana and Nebraska at home. Both these teams are preseason top 25.
I'm going to call a split there. Win Nebraska, lost Indiana.
Okay. Just quickly looking at the Indiana team. Yeah, I'm probably going to go the exact same way here. A loss against Indiana and a win against Nebraska. At Oregon, at Washington.
There's no Kelsey Plum at Washington, so it's going to be fine.
There's no Sabrina at Oregon, so I'm feeling all right.
Yep.
Northwestern at home. I'm feeling good. Here's where we got to stop. Because this is the big one against the team that has national title aspirations in February. On a Sunday, February 2nd, USC coming to Iowa City, Juju Watkins. And also, don't forget that they got Kiki Iriefin from Stanford, who was a very talented freshman last year and dominated in the NCAA tournament as well. So they've got Juju Watkins, and Kiki will probably be the backbone of their team. They also got Talia Van Olhoffen from Oregon State, who is a key part of their team. So this is a loaded USC roster. There's a reason why they're top 5.
Juju Watkins is going to want to light up Carver Hawkeye Arena, and I think she's going to. I think give USC the win there.
Yeah, I'm going to take USC here as well. So
there's going to be nothing she wants more than to hang 50 in Carver.
Yeah, I think so, but I do think that this will be a close and competitive game. But ultimately, I think they'll win. At Minnesota, at Nebraska, Minnesota win.
Nebraska lost, and we'll move on.
Okay. That's how I'm feeling, too.
Yep.
That's how I'm feeling. Win against Rutgers. Let's go to another big matchup here. 2 big matchups back-to-back, actually. At Ohio State, UCLA at home. Go.
UCLA win, Ohio State loss.
I'm feeling a win against UCLA as well, and also a loss on the road to Ohio State. So I think Cody McMahon going to have a huge year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, quality losses so far for the Iowa women's basketball team. Last 2 games are at Michigan State and Wisconsin at home.
I think those are 2 dubs.
I think so too. And so, Drew, here we are. We have picked through.
Weren't we only different on one?
I don't know
if we were different at all, actually.
Yeah. We were different on, you picked Virginia Tech.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
And so basically here we are, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 loss Iowa. I have 4 loss Iowa.
And the thing is I felt like I was pretty fair with that. You know, a 4 or 5 loss Iowa's still back to a 1 seed. Caitlin Clark's senior year team last year was a 7 loss team, were they not?
I believe so, Drew. So
I felt like I was fair in those.
Yeah.
The disrespect campaign is on.
24-5 is where you have them, and I have them at 25-4.
So I mean, it comes down to the Big Ten tournament, right?
Yeah. So Big Ten tournament. I don't really see a repeat.
No, I don't necessarily do either. And I mean, the bracket's really going to have to lay right, and then an upset maybe in front of them.
Yeah, I think USC has. I don't know if what we're predicting gets Iowa back to a 1 seed, since they're starting from a place of being unranked. And I'm not sure. I think the Iowa State win is huge. I think home win against UCLA is huge. And probably Nebraska. I think those are kind of the Maryland. I think those are kind of the four marquee. Tennessee maybe too. Who knows how good Tennessee is.
And you know what? All 5 of those games could be losses too. Right? And then you can you can go back down to 20-10.
Yeah. But that's still
20-10 still top 6, 7 seed.
I think maybe it's more realistic that in those 5 games where we picked wins,
split
3-2,
3-3, 3-2,
2-3, 3-2. I think 3-2, even in those 5 where we're expecting wins, and
still puts you at 23-8 before the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, 23-8, something like that.
Yeah,
or 21-8, 21-8, 22-7. That's still top 4 seed. So I think a 4 seed is firmly on the table.
Yep.
I think that's probably where they'll end up. So maybe we're projecting it a little bit high. I think that's where this Iowa women's team will eventually end up. But either way, looking forward to the season. So,
Yes.
All right. Let's plug our live event, Drew. I've already alluded to it last week, but we have better details. We'll probably share more on social media. I'm going to let you take it away from here.
So coming home for my wedding weekend, starting the 7th of November, we are going to do a live podcast from the front row in Clive with a little help from our friend and sponsor, Andrew Downs, getting us in there. We appreciate Andrew helping us get in there, and Chris Shipley working out the details. And we also appreciate Kyle Lehman from Wintrust Mortgage, who's going to help us sponsor the event, man. So very pumped, very, very happy with our sponsors. Very appreciative of that. We are going to do a little meet and greet at 5:30 out there at the front row in Clive. And then we're going to go live with the podcast at 6. You guys come and say hi to us anytime while we're there at the podcast. Whatever we're doing, we'll buy you a beer. That's what we're going to do.
Yep. Sounds good. We'll do that. So big thanks to Kyle Lehman for putting money on the table for that. Appreciate him doing that for the event. Appreciate Andrew Downs too as well, and Chris Shipley. Yeah, Chris and everybody here at Three Beards treats us very well. Amy rocking the graphics.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Amy made us an awesome graphic.
Can we get some Jello shots up in there?
I wish, man.
Dude,
I'm sure they have Jello shots, but they don't have Amy Jello shots. So it's not really the real thing. So I don't know if I want it if it's not Amy's Jello shots.
So maybe we have to tailgate.
Yeah. So, anyways, good event coming on November 7th. So that's a Thursday night, I believe.
It is a Thursday night. And actually, the Iowa men play Southern at Carver Hawkeye.
Oh, so we will have
Iowa men's basketball that evening.
Sweet. That will be a nice little tune-up game that we'll get to see while we're there.
Yep.
So really looking forward to that one, Drew. But for now, I think you got anything else?
I don't think so. No. A little personal news. I took a new job in the military. Going to be moving back to the Midwest in the Central Time Zone, about 3 hours south of you, down just southwest of Kansas City Metro and Lenexa. Taking a new job down there. So probably January-ish time frame. So looking forward to getting back to the Midwest. They have Hy-Vees. They have Casey's. My life is going to get significantly better in the food and beverage game. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they don't have a Casey's Center in Kansas, though.
That's fine. It's fine.
You don't have a pizzerina, man. It's the new pizzerina. That's what we're
I
calling
do like the nickname of Pizzarina. That's great.
That is perfect.
Yep, 100%.
As long as they serve breakfast pizza inside of the Casey's Center.
Dude, you have to serve pizza in there. Yes, you have to serve Casey's pizza there. There's no doubt about that.
Breakfast pizza specifically.
I mean, I could go for a breakfast pizza at Iowa Wild game, you know?
Yeah, or a Wolves game.
Or
I'll be at a few of those. So.
Okay.
Anyways, good to have you back in the Midwest soon, Drew.
Yes, sir.
So we're looking forward to that. And but for now, we'll sign off and we'll look forward to hopefully an Iowa football win on Saturday. And we'll come back next week and talk about a win and then get you geared up for the Heartland Trophy.
There we go.
Because that's coming in 2 weeks. Rivalry game. So, all right. We're here in October and we love it. And we will let you go. As always, have a great night and go Hawks.
Go Hawks.